I'm smiling so hard. I'm smiling so hard. I'm so happy to be back doing the podcast. First video. Okay. So, first video of 2023, folks. My name's Amelia. I am your co-host.
And my name is Kurtis.
The other co-host of This Thing of Ours podcast. And welcome back to This Thing of Ours podcast.
Where we talk about all of life's highs and lows.
And everything in between. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Comment hey so we know that you are new and you have just joined the family. Happy New Year. Is it okay that we still say Happy New Year? Like, when does it become a factor of not saying Happy New Year anymore? Is it like in February when we no longer can say Happy New Year? Or are we still saying Happy New Year to people when we see them? Like, oh, Happy New Year. Oh, Happy New Year. And then, you go your opposite way. A new way of saying bye. Is it all of January is the grace time to say Happy New Year? Or is it only the first or second week?
I would say the first week. I think after this first week, people have heard it so many times from so many different people. They're just like, yes, I know. I understand. It's the new year. I've already given up on my goals.
Well, then I guess you know who's giving up on their goals.
But no,
that was a very truthful answer.
But no, I think the first part is what I actually mean. People have heard it so many times. They're like, I know, I get it. Happy New Year. Yes, I'm tired of hearing it. You might get the few people that are like, they're still enjoying that it's a new year, and this is something they look forward to every year. But
then you got people like Kurtis, who's the Grinch of the new year. We're like, okay, I'm done. I already know I messed up already in the new year. New year just started. I already messed up.
Yep.
Stop reminding me. I'm definitely keeping that in for the podcast. I'm definitely keeping that in.
Oh, shoot. Anyway.
Wow. Just wow.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it too late at this time? Like, what are we now? We're
January 22nd, the Sunday.
But anyway, let me know what you guys think. When is it too late to still be saying Happy New Year to people?
I think we all start saying Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, literally right after. No, I want to say December 1st. We start saying Merry Christmas. And then
Happy Holidays.
Yeah, Happy Holidays. And then as soon as Christmas is done, we start saying, oh, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. And I personally say Happy New Year all the way till the end of January. That sounds like a stretch, but that's basically kind of like what I do because, January is the time where people have goals and we set them the New Year's resolution type of vibes.
No, I do get that. It's still the first month of the year. Like, things are just kind of getting started for the new year. And yeah, you're building that plan. You're building those habits that you created goals for and things like that, right? So
how was your guys' Christmas and New Year's? I hope I think we already talked about the Christmas. How was your New Year's? You guys party? Did you guys, just spend it with your loved ones? Did you guys have family dinners at New Year's Eve? What did you guys do? Kurtis, you left me from Montreal to go to Sudbury. What did you do? How was your New Year's?
My New Year's was good. So I went to Sudbury day after Boxing Day on the Tuesday. I left, drove out to Sudbury, stayed with my mom, my brother, and hung out with some family members. And New Year's Eve, I actually went out to a party with my brother and some of the people he met in school, in college, and people he worked with. So that was fun. Definitely felt the age.
Tell them what time you came home.
I got home at like 6 a.m. Yeah, no.
You're too old for that.
We're not doing that no more. I ended up sleeping till like almost 12 o'clock the next day. I haven't done that in forever. That was like something I did like on the daily. growing up,
Do you
like high
remember
school.
like being in your early 20s when, you would have to work the next day at like 6 a.m., but you'd only get home from the club at like 3 a.m. and only get 3 hours of sleep and you'd be like living life, you'd be okay. So you sleeping until 12 does not surprise me. That's what
Yeah.
happens when you get older.
Yeah, I know. I know. We can't be doing that no more. That was no good. But I mean, I woke up, I was feeling good still, even though I drank a little bit more than I probably should have. But yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Other than that, seeing my cousin, seeing her two boys, seeing grandparents, my aunt, my uncle. But yeah, how was your holidays?
My holidays was okay. I'll just talk about Christmas was really good. We spent it together at my mom's house, and then we had lots of food. My niece actually turned 2 years old, and she is the cutest little thing. She wore this blue dress on her birthday. I did film a little bit, but I'm going to keep it for her to see specifically. You just want to treasure that moment. So I almost made like a home style home video, and I just sent it to my sister, and that's her vlog of her daughter's birthday. But if you ask her how old she is, she'll tell you, I'm 2. And she's so cute. Like, she loves Elmo. She was literally the life of the party. She was a happy little girl. And yeah, so I had fun with that. I had fun filming, and when she gets older, I want her to watch it and be like, wow, that was what my mom, my dad, and my uncles, godparents, whatever, that's what they looked like when they were young and I was at 2. Yeah, that's kind of like what I did for her. But that was like really one of my highlights of the vacation time that we had for the holidays. Last weekend, we were actually looking at our, budgeting together as a couple. And I feel like Google is just listening to you. Like, when if you're about to Google something, it's like, oh, Google kind of already know. Or they promote it to you before you even get a chance to even like open Google. So I thought that's kind of weird. But I actually came across this article with Gabrielle Union. She's an actress, if you guys don't know her. I absolutely love her. She's absolutely stunning. She's a wonderful actress. But she actually did this podcast. I think she was on the Armchair Expert podcast. But I just quickly, scanned through the article. I didn't watch it or listen to it, so I can't really speak on what she said. But it was mostly like the title of the article. It's kind of like what caught my eye. So she was married before she was actually married to Dwayne Wade. I think she was married to a football player. And she said how like she was the one paying all the bills, right? And therefore she felt like she was entitled to do whatever she wants. And in quotation, I think they wrote, or like in brackets, they wrote like cheating wise on her husband because she was the one paying everything. Now, one, I don't want to speak on her because, I don't really like the whole gossip scene, and this is not a podcast where we're gonna gossip about celebrities. It's not that at all. And second, we weren't there in that relationship, right? So I don't want to speak on that. I just kind of want to talk on roles and relationships in general, because that's kind of like where I was actually thinking when we were doing our financial goals, and our financial budgeting and things like that for our relationship. So I was like, oh, this is actually kind of like an interesting topic to bring about, So when it comes down to roles, and definitely financial roles in a relationship, for example, maybe if you're married, you guys can help us out and tell us, what to expect in that next step. When it comes down to your finances, how do you guys split the bills? Like, who's deciding who's gonna pay what? Because now you have more than just your cable bill, your Wi-Fi bill, right? Now you got a whole mortgage that you have to pay. So it's like, who's paying that? And if one person makes more money than the other person, like how are you splitting the bills? Is it going to be 50-50 still? Or is it going to be like more like 20-80? Like, or is there going to be like a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad? And then one person is going to be like, okay, you're going to bring in the money and we'll work towards where the money needs to go? Or is there an agreement on what bills, you're going to pay? And are you guys going to combine your debts? And then, then you're paying off whatever then you're going to pay off that one single big debt together. So I don't know. I just got a couple questions, more than a couple questions.
Yeah, there are a lot of different questions when it comes down to like who's going to take care of the finances, who's going to do what in the household. But I know, like, speaking on that, I was actually just scrolling through Facebook the other day, and I remember seeing, it was just a quick little snippet of Steve Harvey and his show. I guess he was sitting down. There was a few other people on the show with him, but he was saying how, like, he was talking about finances and being in a relationship and who, like, and how to kind of sort the finances. And he was saying basically you should have 4 different bank accounts, right?
Okay. I can only imagine 3 though. Like one for you, one for me, and then a joint. What would be the last one?
Yeah. So basically, yes, you're right. The first one was to have a joint bank account. So that one there is specifically made to put all your bills together. So average it out. Like, what are your bills on an average month? And you guys each put in that amount of money, or like half of it, into that account. That way, for sure, your bills are going to get paid. And then your second bank account is going to be just strictly for savings. Okay. So to make sure you guys actually save money by the end of the month, end of the year, so on and so forth, for whatever you need, whether it's maybe you're still renting and you want to actually have a down payment for a home, you guys can start saving money for that. So you each put an equal amount into a savings account, and then you each have 2 individual accounts, one for you, one for the other person. That way, that other person doesn't need to ask you if they want to buy something. They have their own money to do it. You don't have to ask them if you want to buy something. You have your own money. And yeah, obviously, you can still treat each other on different things. If you want to, you can still buy each other things. But you each have your own money if you want to spend on whatever you want to spend it on. But that way, bills are getting paid, you're saving money, and you have money for yourself. So that's why he was saying to have 4 different bank accounts, right? But like, let's say someone's making more than the other person. How do you go about splitting the bills? Yeah. Because, like, yes, cool, you could have a separate bank account strictly for bills, but if one person's making more than the other person, should you still be putting 50% in? I think you should technically break it down and be like, okay, so what is our combined income? What is the percentage I make compared to you? And I'll pay that percentage of the bills. Because I don't think it's fair that one person is able to have, like, let's say you do have the 4 bank accounts and your bank account is just flourishing because you got all this extra money, and the other person is in freaking overdraft because they had to pay bills.
Yeah. It's not just about how much the person is making overall, right? It's also your own personal expenses. You know, you got bills together, but then you have your own expenses, like, you know, your personal needs, and then you also have your own car and things like that. So it's also about how much debt you have in your own personal debt plus your bills that you have to pay. Yeah. Sometimes someone that's making, let's say, 100,000 is really making, let's just say, 50,000 because of all the debts they have to pay. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're still making the 100,000, but because they've accumulated so much expenses, then they're really not seeing that full 100,000 at the end of the day, right? But that it's kind of like how we are. Like, you own your car, you've completely paid it off up to this point. I'm leasing my car, so I have that extra expense every month that you don't have.
When I look at millionaires, right, that's the first thing that kind of comes across my mind. Like, they're good, like, you know, they're set, they can pay their bills, there should be no problem, right? Yeah. But you know, the famous saying by Biggie, more money, more problems. So I'm assuming that maybe and not all millionaires can.
And that's the funny part too. It's like, when you are at our level of finances, right? When you're just like an average person, we look at those people like they got millions, like they're good. Bills are going to get paid regardless. They probably got tons of extra money at the end of the month. they don't even have to worry about nothing, right? They have no problems whatsoever. Money fixes everything, right? That's the way we almost look at it, right? Everyone wants to win that lotto so they can, it'll solve all their problems, basically.
That lotto. Sorry, I love how you said it.
No, but it's true though, right? Like everyone wants to win the lottery because they think it's going to solve all their problems. But when you get more money, that's when you're like, I want to get a bigger house. I want to get a nicer car. I want to do this. I want to do that. And your expenses increase as well as along with your income. So it's like, yes, we see them and we know that they're making a lot of money, yes, but they're also spending a lot of money. And like millionaires, they have managers, they have,
the whole team basically.
Yeah, like
they gotta pay.
They have a lot of expenses. And that's something I think average society kind of overlooks when we think of people that are making lots of money, right?
Once you start living together, you already take on the payment of paying rent every month because both your name has to be on the lease, right? It's not just one person. And if one person refuses, like, how are we going to talk about that? Are they refusing just because they can't pay for it? Because then in my mind, it's like, well, when we were talking about how much we can afford in rent, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why didn't you say you couldn't afford this half?
Yeah.
Because when we moved all those times, that was one of the questions that's one of the things I do remember us saying, like, hey, how much can you afford every month? Yeah. Because, we're paying 50-50 in this, right? Because if you want to live with a roof above your head, you need to make sure that you can have this much at the end of every month to pay. And even if I see you buying, let's say, jeans and a new, let's just say Louis Vuitton bag or something, it's like, okay, well, did you pay the electricity bill first? Because the lights are going to click off. That's like a part of my mental process is why don't you care about the debts that are going to be in your name? If the bills aren't paid, it's going to start piling up. Like, why don't you care about that? But there's other things in, the roles of a relationship. It's not just finances, because I do remember, like, watching TV and, seeing, the male was going to work. And then, the wife would be, the stay-at-home mom. And then the dad would bring home all the money. And then the wife would be like, okay, well, we have this bill, and this bill. And then that's where, the money would go through.
Yeah, no, times have definitely changed. But there are a lot of TV shows that, growing up anyway, they're starting to show it differently in movies and TV shows. But yeah, no, it's funny how society kind of puts those stereotypes and those standards on us, and it's depicted in shows. It's like how we're raised, what we seen our parents do.
I remember when I was younger, my mom would get the garbage ready and my dad would be the one to take it out. And I remember growing up, he'd be like, I ain't taking out no garbage. Make sure my man takes out the garbage.
But, and that is how it actually works with us. Yeah. Like, you'll get things ready within, like, inside the house. I'll go into the garage, I'll put it together in the bin and actually take it out to the road, right? And organize it from that point. And, like, I mean, there's certain things that I think, without even really saying it, we just kind of do.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's just kind of how we were both raised.
What are the roles do you remember growing up that you saw, your parents do inside of their marriage or their relationship?
There was a lot of times, like, majority of the days, my dad came home later. He did work later than my mom. So she would come home, she would cook dinner. He came home, dinner was already ready. But yes, like, my dad cut the grass. My mom never cut the grass.
Yeah, my dad cuts grass.
Shoveled the driveway. My mom did not shovel the driveway. Right? So I think it was like mostly like all the maintenance things. Yeah. My dad did. Inside the house, it was majority my mom. So
I'm never cutting grass, but I'm allergic to cut grass, and I am not cutting grass. That is one thing I am not doing. I can tell you right now. I will take out the garbage before I cut the grass.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will never cut the grass. I don't care if I'm living alone. I will get Bobby down the street for $5. He will cut the grass, and if he leaves patches, I don't care as long as the grass is cut. Do you remember when in the summertime we were walking our dog, and we were walking past his house, and there was this woman outside. She was mowing the grass, and there was at least 5 males that were just sitting down, drinking their tea or drinking a beer, whatever they were doing. And they were literally just watching this girl cut grass.
Yep.
And I was thinking in my head, you're not going to help this girl cut the grass. You're going to help your wife, your mom cut the grass. You're just going to sit there.
I know. We were walking Trumpet. We were walking our dog, and we're like looking over like, is this for real? Mm-hmm. Like, they're literally just sitting there watching her? Yeah. Like, why are they not helping?
And there we were judging, but we don't know the situation, right? We're just expecting to see the male cut the grass instead of seeing
because
the female.
That's what we've kind of been taught. That's what we've been in. Like, it's been instilled in us that the male is supposed to be the one cutting the grass. Mm-hmm. And like, okay, maybe we wouldn't have thought anything of it if it was literally just her. Yeah. Right? If it was just her, no one else around, then we would have just walked by and been like, oh, okay, someone's cutting their grass. But because they were literally sitting there watching her, it was like, really? You're really not going to help her?
Or if it was the other way around, her drinking her lemonade and watching her husband, I'm like, that's the life. That's goals. Or sitting there drinking the lemonade, watching her man cut the grass.
But no, like,
nothing.
It's funny though, because like, we don't know the whole situation. And that's like, it kind of breaks down to what got us on this topic where you've seen that article. Mm-hmm. We don't know the entire situation. For them sitting there, maybe they were joking around one day and they had a bet that she was going to end up cutting the grass if she lost the bet. Or maybe they were taking turns because this grass was like over a foot long. Yeah, it was long. Maybe they were taking turns. She would go for 5 minutes, whatever, and then he was going to jump in. And we only seen that one section because we were just walking by. Mm-hmm. And we just so happened to be there when she was the one cutting the grass. So like, we don't know the entire situation. And I think that's something that we overlook a lot of the times as well, is we don't look at the entire thing. We see one thing happen and we start making assumptions, right? Based on what we've been led to believe is the norm in society.
Okay, so battery died.
Yeah, so if that stopped abruptly, and we can't even fix it in editing, it's because our battery died on the camera.
Yeah, and we don't even know where we actually were. No. But what I want to say is the last gender role or roles in relationship that I feel like we've taken a part in is that, you always do the driving and I'm just the passenger in the seat whenever we go anywhere.
Anywhere, even if it's just like down the street to the grocery store. I drive. Majority of the time. Even if we take your car, a lot of the time you're like, I don't want to drive.
But let us know, what roles, if you've realized that, you've taken a part in the relationship, or, let us know how you guys split the bills if you're married, if it's one person, if you agree on maybe one person who makes more money should be paying a little bit more in the bills or not. So, us, we have to Google everything and look for articles to read. I feel like that's just our thing, on this podcast. We got to Google things. So on Forbes, it says 10 ways to prevent money from ruining your marriage or a relationship, right? So this article was written by Jennifer Ryan Woods on Forbes. But the first one, it says, don't set yourself up for disaster. So basically saying that the number one mistake they make is spending too much on a wedding, or we can say probably too much in general by ourselves, right? Most couples starting out cannot afford to pay cash for a lot of things that they want, so they go into debt, basically. I'm just trying to make it more general, the article. Yeah. The second one was discuss your demons. Now that's a big one because we did mention that talking about our own personal expenses. And, I don't want to say demons. I want to mention demons as a bad thing. I'm saying demons as our money habits spending wise. We, spending a lot of money on, let's say, shoes, or spending a lot of money on lottery tickets, or just gambling in general, So I think it's important, like you said, to discuss, where your money's going and how come you can't pay for certain bills at the end of the month. I think that's actually a very important one to talk about. And the last one says, understand your partner's money mindset. So like we mentioned earlier, talking about like,
make sure your goals are aligned.
Make sure your goals are aligned with each other before you even get into the relationship.
Well, not necessarily get into the relationship, but like decide that this is going to be a long-term thing. Because like getting into the relationship, you're still getting to know the person. Like you don't know them yet, but like as time goes on, you do start to pick up these things. You get to understand the person and see what they're kind of all about, right? And then that's when you can kind of make your decision, like, yes, this person's good for me, or well, maybe not,
Yeah. Okay, the next one says, set your eyes on the same prize. So it's kind of similar to what we were just talking about. And then the next one says, don't ignore the B word, which is budgeting. Because when I first read that, I was like, what? But yeah, it's budgeting. It's budgeting. Which is important, like when we first started talking, I mentioned this before, though, I was very bad before I met Kurtis with money. I was very, very bad with money. I'm improving. I'm not perfect. I'm still improving. There's some things I have to literally mentally convince myself that I do not need, like that jacket that I wanted from Zara yesterday. I had to convince myself that it was not needed.
You guys, she had this jacket in line. Like she was ready to buy it. And thank God the line was actually long. She had time to like think about it. Do I actually need a jacket?
I bought it to the cash, actually. And I said to the cashier, I was like, if the jacket's not on sale, I don't want it. So please check it. And then she just went, not on sale. And then she just threw the jacket. I was like, what? Hold on.
You didn't even give me a chance to say if I wanted it or not. I guess you made my decision for me. Okay.
But I feel like if she had said, do you still want it? A part of me probably would have said yes. A part of me wanted her to ask me so I could say I still want it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was a nice jacket, but at the end of the day, see, the way I am, especially like clothes and things like that, like I don't just go out and buy clothes, right? I'll buy clothes if I need something. If my pants start getting worn out, getting too small and tight. Because I'm eating a little too many snacks at night.
You just answered your own question on why your pants didn't fit, Kurtis. I had nothing to do with this.
I'm talking about the girl who bought a large bag of kernels.
Why are you airing me out, Kurtis? I did not air you out. I left your secrets alone, and you wanted to air yourself out. Don't drag me with you, honey. No. Number 6 is stop keeping secrets. So basically, from my understanding, kind of, don't hide money. And I've heard of stories like that before, of the rich husband giving, I guess you want to say, allowances to the wife.
And has a secret bank account.
Yeah. Or the husband hiding extra money from the wife because, when you get divorced, you don't want her to take half. Maybe that's just movies, but I'm curious to know if that actually happens in real life.
I'm sure it happens. But that's like rich people problems. See, more money, more problems. Just like Biggie said.
Number 7, give each other some breathing room. Conferring with your wife about all your purchases that feel very restricting, especially when you find yourself having to defend a purchase that your partner doesn't endorse. See, that's how I felt about my Zara jacket yesterday. I really wanted it. And I tried. Honestly, a part of me was like, I'm going to come back after work tomorrow and buy this jacket. A part of me really wanted to, but I was like, no, Amelia, don't do it. It's just not worth it. How are you going to hide it from him? When are you going to wear the jacket? And then another one was, come up with a system. When it comes to spending money, it's important for couples to have some ground rules in place to determine, for instance, what purchases need to be discussed ahead of time.
I guess one bad habit that I have is like when I'm out and about and I start getting hungry, You know, it's getting lunchtime, getting supper time.
That's where they get you. That's why it's called fast food.
And I'm like, you know, I should just stop at McDonald's, stop at Harvey's, stop at Burger King, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're actually good in that sense because you're like, we have fries at home. Like, why don't we just stop at the grocery store? You're going to stop somewhere anyway. Just stop at the grocery store, get a burger, you know, get a box of burgers. We'll cook them at home and, you know, we'll cook up some fries. And then, like, literally we spend almost the same amount, but we got, like, way more food. Like, we got burgers for days.
I told you guys that, you know, in the last video that we posted, that 2023 is the year that we're saving. We're improving on our money goals. We're going to save money where we can. Yeah. I said that in the last episode, and I was not lying. Yeah. 2023, I'm trying to do this, okay? That whole Zara incident caught me on a weak time of my life. But anyways, yeah, so that is it for this podcast. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, and you know, if you have a topic that you want us to discuss, hit comment in the comment section, or you can always DM us and follow us on Instagram. Anything else, Kurtis, that you want to mention?
But yeah, so if you were wondering where we've been, we did take a little break, but we decided we were going to take about roughly a couple weeks off. We didn't have an exact plan of when we were going to release our first video again in the new year, but we knew we wanted to take a small little break, right? So, and
I was actually thinking that what we could do to make it easier is create a playlist that's, you know, dedicated just to 2022. So all the episodes are going to be in one folder called 2022. So if you ever want to binge watch, you know, our previous vlogs, then it would just be easier. Instead of going by playlist by playlist by playlist, it'll all be right there, you know? All right, we'll see you guys in the next podcast. We are back, and next week for sure there will be a new episode. So we will see you guys then. Take care and have a good week. Peace.